Hi, I'm Kat Murrell for Third Coast Daily, and I'm here with art dealer Dean Jensen, except we're not actually talking about art today. We're talking about Dean's new book called Queen of the Air. So Dean, tell us a little bit about the book.
The book has an interesting evolution, I think, because I in fact started it 25 years ago and very nearly completed it, then decided that I didn't like it at all. Then it wasn't until after I published a book in 2006 on Daisy and Violet Hilton, who were conjoined twins. I thought I'd take a look at the book that I had done originally on Lillian Lietzel and Alfredo Cadona. I had all of this research material. Alfred Pelikan, Lietzel's brother, was the director of the Milwaukee Art Institute. I had published a book, A Circus History, in the 70s, my first book, and Alfred called me to his home one day for lunch. On the walls were posters and photographs of his sister Lillian Lietzel, who was the most famous circus performer of all time, and Lietzel had fallen to her death in 1931. Alfred started going through some of the photographs. He also had rubber-banded stacks or bundles of correspondence from his sister, who had performed all over the world. And he said, if you ever want to do anything with my sister, this is all yours. So that's how the project started.
It's amazing because, you had all this work done, and to have a book almost finished and say, no, I'm not pleased with it, and then put it away, but then come back to it and sort of rediscover it. And it's almost like you're sort of rediscovering Lietzel's story, Lietzel and Alfredo. Does it sort of feel like that to you?
Alfredo Cadona was a famous trapeze flyer. Lietzel had gone through 2 marriages, and Alfredo was in his first marriage, but it was unraveling because of his love for Lietzel. And their marriage was an interesting one, passionate at times, but also very tempestuous. Both of them were high-strung performers and explosive and jealous of, the attention one another was getting and all of that.
Did you feel like you really came to know these people, and, what were they like?
I always thought that this was the Big Top's best untold stories. I was able to find out things about the family that had never before been published. Lietzel's mother was also a circus performer, a gypsy. Lietzel was actually the issue of a rape between a reptilian circus owner and Lietzel's mother. When Lietzel was in her early teens, she joined with her mother in an act called the Leamy Sisters, and her mother was a part of that act. They performed throughout Europe and then came to America.
What was she like as a person? Do you feel like you kind of know her or have a sense of her personality?
She was the highest paid performer the circus ever had. She had her own car on the circus train. She had her own private dressing tent on the circus lots. She was, very demanding on the circus management, demanding more and more, and she was always given it because the public just adored her. She was almost fairy-like. She was just 4'9". When she came into the Big Top, and it's hard for people to realize this today, but these tents would hold 15,000 people, and she would only have to appear, this little tiny thing, 4'9", come through that back door, and this horizontal light would catch her, and the crowd would, just go crazy. Inside the Big Top, it sounded as though the top was housing Niagara Falls or so. The noise was just so deafening. Alfredo was probably the most perfect male specimen in the circus. And of course, he wore these skin-tight tights, and he had musculature. He was a small man, as most trapeze flyers are, but he was this kind of Adonis-like figure in the circus, and so when he appeared anywhere, women would typically swoon. Lietzel was initially not even terribly interested in Alfredo Cadona, but because he was the heartthrob of most of the other female performances on the circus, Lietzel set her cat for him. Lietzel fell to her death in 1931, after which Alfredo married Lietzel's protege, Vera Bruce. Ultimately, that didn't work so very well. The book is a love story. It's also a biography, but it's also, I think, a tragedy. And it almost seems to me as though, fates were controlling this. The players put their ends into motion themselves, and I think, this almost happens in this story.
Well, Dean, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about your new book, Queen of the Air.
Thank you very much.